Welcome. So today we have kind of a one-pan bake. We're going to be baking things in the oven. I've preheated it to 350 degrees, and we have a beautiful kabocha squash, which you might come and get tomorrow. And what we're going to be doing is I'm going to show you how to cut it in half and cook it without cutting it in pieces. And what we'll do is we're going to cut it in half, cook it, and then use that whole half as the bowl or the holder for the roasted root vegetables. So we have a sweet potato here, and then we have a few carrots. And with the other half of the squash, I'm going to cut that up and bake it as well. But we'll do everything in the same tray, because if you can, why make more mess than you need to? So we'll get right down to it. This is a very, very hard piece of vegetable here, so you have to be really careful when you are going to cut something that's so hard. So I would start with the very tip of the knife and just go all the way down until you hear it crack. And if you feel like you're getting off center, you can kind of take your knife out and realign it. And we're just gonna try to cut it in half. Just be careful of your fingers, because it's really crazy. Whew. And then as soon as that's halved, we will take out the seeds. So there we go. So one side is bigger. I'm going to keep this for baking upside down, and I'll just take out the seeds with this one, and then we'll cut that into pieces as well. This is a really simple recipe. It's kind of wintry because it's using root vegetables and squashes, but you know, it's not very warm in LA right now, so there's really no rule as to what you eat when you want to eat it. Now that that's halved, I've already washed the carrots. Oh, I'm going to have this side too. Everything has already been washed and scrubbed, so at this point I'm just ready to go. So I'll set that aside for now. This recipe, because it is full of root vegetables, is full of B vitamins and vitamin C and fiber and just delicious things for your body. Okay, so you can do this a few ways. You can take a peeler, but since the skin of this is really hard, it would take a long time to peel. It's actually kind of impossible. So we're not going to do that. I'm just going to take my knife and I'm going to cut, if I can. Super hard to do. So you might not want to do this at home. As I'm realizing, this is actually really hard. So what you'll have to do is you'll have to just put a little muscle into it and trim the sides and just try to take off the skin. You might have more luck using a smaller knife, but if you are comfortable using a chef's knife, there's nothing stopping you from doing this. With a butternut squash or something with slightly less toughness of skin, it's easier to peel with a vegetable peeler, and that's usually just the easiest way if you want to get the skin off. But this is a monster. All right, so to avoid cutting my fingers off, I think I'm just going to cut the sides first. You want to make sure when you're cutting something so hard that you have very dry hands and that you're cutting on a clean, dry surface to avoid your hands slipping. And I'm going to put that aside because I really do feel like this is an accident waiting to happen. Okay, so now they're not even pieces, but that's okay. We just want to cut them into little slices. And the trick to roasting vegetables, even if this is way harder than, let's say, a sweet potato and around a little bit harder than a carrot, is that you want everything approximately the same size. Because sweet potatoes and carrots can be a little mushy when they're cooked, we might want to get those a little bigger in size so things cook rather evenly. But we'll just make some tiny little chops. There we go. The thing I really like about using squash as the bowl, or even like a lemon or an orange, after you've made orange juice, you can keep the orange rind and fill it up with sorbet or some other fruit salad and make a little cup out of it. It's just always nice to save water by having to wash a dish, and also have something a little unique and special to put on your table. So I'm just peeling the sweet potato. So I did wash this before I started peeling it. Even though I was removing the skin, sweet potatoes often have a lot of dirt in their skin. And so if you don't peel it, or if you don't wash it before you start peeling, you can often track the dirt onto the potato. And then you have to rinse off the potato. And when you add water to starchy things, it starts to decompose the starch in them. So it just changes the texture. So did that first. Cut it in half. And I think I only need about a half, so I'm just going to set that aside. And the carrots. I've scrubbed these. I'm not going to take off their skin. Because these are actually really beautiful little carrots, but I'm not going to use the very thin areas. I'm going to cut those off, and we can use those for something else, dips, or just to have as a snack in your refrigerator. Remember, when you're cutting something round like this, if you're not cutting the carrot in half to cut it on a flat surface, do make sure that you have a good grip on it, so as it rolls, it's not rolling your knife into your finger. So that was easy enough, just a few minutes of that, and you basically are done. And so today we're only using simple spices. We have some olive oil, which I'm just going to finish this, which is about really a teaspoon left. And we'll add maybe like a tablespoon more. Maybe that was 2. And we'll add some salt. You don't want to salt it too much, and while I'm at it, I'm going to salt the other side. And then I'll add some garlic powder and some pepper, and that'll be it. Today it's simple, no hassle, easy to do, takes a few minutes to prepare, and then basically all you do is bake it. So with that done, I'm going to make sure that's nice and coated. And if it looks a little dry, there's no harm in adding a little more oil. And this is oil of your choosing. And then I will add a little oil to the squash. And that's it. That's all I'm gonna do. Now, I have a baking tray, and I've put some paper at the bottom. That's only because I'm a lazy cook today and I don't feel like scrubbing. So if you are lazy like me and you don't like doing dishes, you can always put paper down at the bottom of your tray to just stop any of those little pieces from hardening and like calcifying on your tray, and then you have to scrub or soak it in water. But if you don't have paper, it's totally fine. Hot water sitting in the sink will get it right out. I'm going to plop this over so it's face down, and then on the same tray I'm just going to add this, and we'll cook it for about 15 minutes, and I will turn the vegetables. I'm going to leave this face down the entire time. And so in about 15 minutes, we'll come back. I'll flip these around and then I'll pop it back in, and it'll take about 15 more, and we'll plate it. Okay, it's been 15 minutes. The only thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn these over a little bit. just so we can bake it evenly. And we'll put it back in the oven for about 15 more minutes, and then it should be done, hopefully. If these are done first, I'll set these aside and we'll continue baking these, but I think it should bake around the same time. See you later. Okay, so it's finished. It was basically 15 minutes. Then I rolled it over. Not rolled. I don't know what you roll over exactly. I flipped the vegetables and then we cooked it for another 15 minutes, and it actually is all cooked at the same time, which is great and kind of a surprise. I'm just gonna turn it over and we'll plate it now. So all we do, we're gonna start with the bowl. So this is our new bowl, and it's nice and golden brown, and we'll be able to use a spoon to get in there, or the fork, or whatever we want, and then we'll fill it with the vegetables. Okay, so we'll set those aside. And then, let's see. They could use a little more salt. So I'm gonna put a little bit of olive oil on the vegetables. And at this point, you can put anything you want over this. You can put sour cream on it, you can do a chimichurri, you can just do pretty much, the sky's the limit. You can do yogurt if you don't want too much sour cream. We'll do a little bit of black pepper. And then I'm going to put some spicy peanuts in here as well from next door, from Mario Brothers, because I just think they're delicious and they make everything tasty. And that's it. I didn't time it, but I think it took about 10 minutes to prep, 30 minutes to cook, and now we have our squash bowl with roasted root vegetables. I hope you enjoy it.